Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And bear with me, I'm trying to pull up the calendar. Hang on. So we did get French payrolls and Italian retail sales. And we do have, and that's it. And then we do have a Bank of Canada rate decision today at 10 a.m. Eastern, as well as we do get IVPMI. And we get JOLTS job openings today. And that's it. And let's take a look where we stand here. Thankfully, we finally got Nasdaq to come down some, but you can see here, Nasdaq is holding up much better than S&Ps. I mean, you can see quite the stark difference here, because look at how S&Ps have actually rolled out of their zone that we've been in, basically 45.11 to 45.45. And look, we're still at the halfway point in Nasdaq. We'll see whether or not we get some fall through today, but it's fortunately I was able to get out of a short that I had. Looked like maybe they're going to try and push me out, so I hung on, but I was glad to go and cover. But it just missed my limit. But you can see here, hopefully maybe we can push back up in here. We'll see what happens. Take a look at gold. We talked about gold. Even ever since last week when we did that quick jump, I've been knocking it, saying, hey, look, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. And that the resistance would be 1865. Because other than that, it really won't matter. They can just jump up and do whatever they want. And we did go on and break. And matter of fact, we even said yesterday that potentially we could even drop into the 1790s, maybe even see a high 1780. And we weren't that far away from that. We got down to, looks like 1794. And we're still on the low end here. And then crude oil, that's just kind of been dilly-dallying around here. Did make it down here to the pivot. Remember that 67.95? I haven't traded it since the prior week when we were trading back and forth there. But we're still holding it against that pivot. Not sure what this market really wants to do. Oh, wow. Looks like Nasdaq jumped up. Yeah, look. 15,636. Well, I'm glad I got out of that short. Really disappointed, missed that limit by just a tick and a half, less than a tick and a half. Actually, it was a tick and a half because the low was 15.05, 15,605 and a quarter. Can't believe they just took out the low of yesterday by only 1.5 ticks. You thought they could have pushed a little bit lower. Anyway, let's go and take a look at what we are on FX land. Oh. So yours a little bit lower here. So let's just go and get started with the analysis. So taking a look at Euro. So yesterday on Friday we went up to that 1902 and we backed away, or 1908-ish, and backed away. And I said, hey, if we're going to push higher for an extra leg, that would take us up here to 1934. But even with equities holding up really well, they haven't been able to do that. So it looks like we're setting ourselves up to move a little bit lower. We had support here at 1845, and we've even dipped below that. Now that was for yesterday. If we take a look at a 2-hour chart, right there. If we're going to keep pushing, see right there, got this little landing, and then right here, we'll go with 1818. This would still count if we could push higher, but it certainly doesn't look like that. So right now, the key resistance is going to be right there, 1879. Take a look at cable. So we have dipped down here and back towards this 37.52. And that's going to be support. And on the upside, $38.31. Moving on to Oxydoll. They've dipped back below that 74 after scaling the weekly level of 74.27. Obviously, this can be support right there. Boy, that's a pretty good fallback. 73.29. Holy smokes. But they did have their, with their rate decision or whatever, 73.24, I think it was. Resistance is now going to be, support was now going to be resistance, 74.04. And going to the dollar yen. We pushed back up to the upside. Here's that 1022. We ran up there yesterday. Resistance and B, if we can push above. Right there. If we're going to hold that, we're pulling back, but certainly looks like they kind of turned the corner. So it'll be 1061. Support now. For now, 1001. Keep it tight. And going to the cash dollar index. I still like this 92.69. We're almost there. And support. You're right there. 92.11. Moving on to Bitcoin, boy, was that something else yesterday. And look, we came just a smidgen from hitting this resistance level, but we talked about how this thing had been really like something else, because even the pullbacks were just minor. Just to, as I said, they weren't even pullbacks. It would just be a pause to contain, catch his breath, and we take off again. And instead of a pullback, we would just get a bit of a pause to catch his breath and take off. Same thing. I mean, yeah, we pulled back to 46,412, but I'm talking about a more significant pullback. Not huge, but maybe dip back in here. No, we just take off. So it certainly looked like it's on its way. And then yesterday, the whole thing fell apart. But the heck of a fall. And look, it's still under pressure. I think you're going to have to clean these stops out here. Because I think you trapped a lot of people. It's also, since we didn't pull back here, and look here, you see there? I think you still have to come back down here. So I'd have to say 42,708. Maybe not for today, but I think they got to go down there and test that. Support 47,500. Looks like they even tagged that. But you can see that we had that level there. That'll be it on the upside. Moving on to the ES. Would have make more sense, technically speaking, to be trading ES than Nasdaq. Support right now is going to be right there. 44.85. Resistance. 45.19. Going to Nasdaq. Resistance is still going to be 15,700. We pull back. But when you look at it, I guess you could tighten it up right there. 15,692. Support, put 15,577. Yeah, that's still going to be support. You see here. Bit disappointed we didn't break much lower. I thought in this break, although the thing is that they had rallied, these suckers came all the way back almost to tag out. So actually, I think they made it to 700. I think the high was like 708 or something like that, 705. So, but I would have thought they would have been able to dip down to maybe even 592. And so that's what I had my limit there, but oh well. It came out okay, but so we'll keep that. And then on gold, it just fooled a lot of people again. So we'll go 1786, whether they get there or not, go with 1786. Upside, 1812. Well, it can jump up. I mean, I still don't think it's going to have to get to 18, close above 1865 to be bullish. But right now, as far as ranges, 1812. I think if it gets up there, people be trying to jump out. We can still jump in here, but I think people will just try and get out of their positions. It's actually right there. Well, there you go, 1812, since it's 1813. Crude oil. $69.55 on the upside. We do have data today, so I'm allowed to jump up. On the downside, let's go with 67.61. It's kind of meandering to a certain extent. It hasn't moved a whole lot. So there's the bias chart. Move back to Nasdaq. And to spools. And there we are. We can go in and these are the levels I'm looking at based on volume and 15,582. I did post those. and then 15,428. These aren't breaks if we break this lower. And then finally 15,320. Norbidding says hi everyone, so hi. And then questions. Do you think the S&P is ready for a larger correction? That's what Norbidding says. We'll go back to that then for you. Hang on, let's take a look at that. Let's go and pull that up for you. I haven't looked at these. Well, not this isn't the profile, but I haven't looked, because we haven't been moving anywhere to make any difference there. We'll take a look at where we are in the S&Ps. I know as soon as I jump the S&Ps, it'll do the opposite or something. So I just try and stick to the Nasdaq. We're down to 611 right now. Doggone, it's taking a long time to load up. What the heck? Okay, so here we are. Some volume right there. Yeah, right here, which I think we have. See right in there, which is really 44.82. So we may go and update this for 44.81. But let's go move that back. Why the hell takes so long to load up? But that's what I'm looking for on the Nasdaq. And I did share that. I just try to post it so I would see in case we do break. I'll know where I'm looking at real quickly. Kind of holding our own still here. So we're going to move this to 44.82. But no, as far as big correction, we take a look at that. I think that we can correct some, because if you take a look here, you see how they've been pressing up against this, see it more clearly here, pressing up against the zone. And we've tried to get a look-see above, and we've tried, and on Friday we could have done some damage. And I posted yesterday, we're just not getting upside separation. But I was talking really about the Nasdaq. So it's open to break further, and you can see here in the Nasdaq, we've been pressing up. This more pronounced as they bunched up against this, they bumped up against this zone boundary, and then we are slipping. But it's still, Nasdaq is still holding up relatively well. But if you look at the S&P, yeah, then I would be looking for a move down here to 44.55. But it's got to happen. You see what I'm saying? We're going to have to get a sustained break below 44.10. Now, that doesn't say much, but I'm thinking that would be your first target, 44.55. It would take out this low here. So I'd be looking there. We can, to make it a little bit bigger. Hold on. So you can see here, if we drop down to 44.55, that's a pretty good even point. It might go right to right here, but I'm just saying that's an area where, and I don't even say it's what I'd be thinking here is this is where you could see some longs get tripped out. Doesn't mean they threw in the towel or anything like that. I'm just saying, reasonably speaking, right in here. right there. Now, could there be a bigger correction? God, look how much we've gone. But I'm just saying that's reasonably speaking. If you were in, let's say that you're looking to buy this market, this would be an area where you can go, wow, I think we can get a pretty good little pullback here. I think I'll step in. This is where I think would be a good area for them to step in if they're buying the dip, that 44.34, and say, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. So I'd be looking for a move down into here, 44.50. Now, if we look at the daily, that you see how this is, I think this is the 50-day. Hold on, let me take a look. I usually don't follow moving averages other than something on the daily when it's a little bit longer term. Yeah, it's a 50-day moving average and simple 50-day moving average, not exponential, anything like that. So that'll be the key. You can see here, 44.12. You guys see I got that nice ridge. That's a very good target. Look at that. You see here? That target area. If you're looking for an area to shoot for, that's 44.15. That would be reasonable. You can take, and so we might, where I told you, at around 44.55, which is really 44.50. Yeah, that would be an area where they might overshoot a little bit, and then they try and make a stand and come back up here a little bit. You see right here, but ultimately, I think that's where we would come down here. Is down to this 44.15 area here. They may right here try and find some support. You see right there? Look at this area right here. So 44.50, maybe we overshoot a little bit in the 40s, 44.45, 44.40, and then we try and make a stand. We try and rally back up here, but ultimately there'll be a big test right there. We just haven't seen a solid break here. We just haven't. It's held up very, very well. So I don't think you necessarily want to look at it as like, where's the solid break? I hung on to the Nasdaq because I'm thinking, I believe we could go lower, but if technically it hasn't done it, just simply hasn't done it at this point. You see, look at the S&Ps falling out of that zone, and stupid Nasdaq, it's still halfway above the zone. If you look at the halfway mark, and if you look at look at Apple, still holding up here in the freaking stars. I don't even get that. I was even going to do some work here, and I looked at it last night. I'm like, okay, so it's rallied. That's not overboard, but I'm saying in July we were trading at 142 and we're trading at 156. So it's a $14 rally. Isn't a whole lot, but it's just been like, so I'm thinking, I go, wait a minute. How much further can you go before you just come back for, and I don't mean a correction, I'm just saying to reset itself. That'd probably take us down to 147.55, but that's what's holding this sucker up. And then if you look at Microsoft, same thing there, holding up really well. It's still pushing a little bit lower here, but you can see up here in the freaking stars. So it looks like it's, I mean, some of these look like they're open to pulling back. Here's Google. Little Greystone Doji, but we're still looking at that. We did the old counter trend yesterday. Amazon. Oh, wow, it went right back to that 35.31. Facebook. Look at that. I mean, when you look at some of these, you're like, how can you necessarily try and be shorting the Nasdaq unless you're shorting it from good solid levels, like on a bounce back? I would have liked to have shorted it from here yesterday, up here around that 700, but I had already shorted 4 times yesterday, and the 5th time, that's when it just kept going higher. And I wasn't about to add because I'm thinking, what if they try and knock me out? Although I was still considering, even if we went to all-time highs, holding on to, because I figured, how much further can this thing go out without a little bit of a pause? So we did see that. But anyway, that's all we got. We'll see you in the chat room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover Website.